Judah Lee actually uses a trick in this one that I've been using myself, and I love it. So I feel like the typical thing people do when they're trying to get a script or almost anything out of ChatGPT is they ask ChatGPT for it, and then they decide to revise it, which is awesome. It's cool that, at least in that example, you are making your own content out of what ChatGPT gave you. You're adding the human element. You're double checking it for accuracy. You're not just copy and pasting what ChatGPT gave you. Awesome. But I almost think a better way to do it is the opposite. Welcome back to the Creative House podcast. So over here at Income School, we are trying all kinds of things with AI, and we're working on bringing you specific prompts so that you can also repurpose your content. We're still working with Josh Pizzales, and we're trying to do things like repurpose content into social media posts, and we're even trying it with community posts on YouTube, which is a little more tricky because I like for my community posts to have a lot of variety. I don't want it to be the same format every time. Sometimes I want it to be some kind of quiz. Sometimes I want it to get feedback in a more natural format, like asking for comments. And sometimes it's just an update on what's going on behind the scenes. So that's a little more tricky, but we are really trying to learn all the ins and outs of this stuff. And we're trying to also get a way to repurpose podcast content and video content, because right now we're just doing it with our blog posts. We'd really love to repurpose our video and audio content into posts for social media and YouTube. So we're still working on all that, and we're hoping to bring you guys some really concrete tutorials soon. But in the meantime, I wanted to share with you some YouTube videos on AI, specifically for growing a YouTube channel, that I've found really helpful, because it's kind of crazy out there. There's a ton of videos about using AI for YouTube, and most of them aren't any good. The vast majority of them are pretty spammy. They're, I think, misleading about the results you can get and how much you can really do with AI. And there are a lot of people out there, though, that do also think of it as a tool instead of just a cop-out to give everything to AI and do nothing yourself. There are a lot of people using it the right way. It's just kind of hard to find because there's so many YouTube channels. So I have narrowed it down to 5 that I think are really good to get you started. And if I sound a little stuffed up, it's because I'm getting over a cold. So bear with me. All right, let's get into it. The first one is by Roberto Blake, and he has a video called 7 Simple ChatGPT Hacks to Grow. Sorry, this is interesting. It's titled 7 Simple ChatGPT Hacks Grow Your YouTube Channel. There's no 2 in there. Just 7 simple ChatGPT hacks, grow your YouTube channel, plus free prompts. But the interesting thing is I didn't notice that there was no 2 in that title for the first probably 3 times I read it until I actually copied and pasted it into my outline here. And then I noticed that he didn't have a 2. And I'm guessing that it's because this title was already pretty long. And I kind of think that's a neat trick. Normally what we do is we'll capitalize the first letter of all the important words, but then for words like to and, we will leave those uncapitalized so they don't stand out as much. But it's kind of cool how your brain just fills in that word here and you don't really need it. So maybe that's something we'll experiment with in the future, just leaving out those words entirely and just see if people notice or if it throws them off, or if they're still able to read it just fine. And then you can see more of the title before you actually click on the video. I thought that was kind of neat. Okay, but the actual video, it gives you 7 ideas on how to use AI for your channel. And they're pretty basic. They're honestly pretty basic ideas, but they are solid. And so what I mean by that is if you're pretty new to using ChatGPT and you don't have a lot of ideas and you've never really tried it on your channel yet, I think it's actually a great video to start with, because he really does outline probably 7 of the best uses for AI for building your YouTube channel. It's just, if you have been digging around for a while, you've probably heard of them all. But if you haven't, this is a great one to start with because they are very legitimate. He suggests using them mostly as a tool, not just to do all the work for you, and gives you some pretty good instruction on how to do that and some pretty good examples of how they can be used. So definitely check that one out if you are getting started. And even if you've been in this for a while, I don't think it'll hurt to check it out. You might learn something new. All right, the next one is, oh, this one's cool. This one is by the channel Motion Array Tutorials, and it's titled How to Use AI to Make Amazing Backgrounds. There are quite a few videos out there like this, but I really like this one because he shows you how to make a really elaborate background, but also how to just tweak a couple things. So you can do whatever you want with this. You can make an entirely AI background that's just completely made up, or you could take your regular background and add like a plant behind you or something very simple. And he gives pretty good instructions on how to do it. He doesn't go super in depth, but he does explain it well enough that you could probably get most of the way there with just his video. You might have to do a couple Google searches, but he'll tell you like which tools to use. So if you aren't familiar with how to use those tools in Photoshop, you might have to do a Google search to figure that out, but he gives you all the steps. He also outlines some really great ways to make it look more natural, like to color grade the entire thing so that you kind of match the background and things like that. And even a way to like add this natural movement that is unnoticeable really, but it's there. And he kind of adds like this noise to it. It's really cool. So definitely check out that video. It's probably not for the complete beginner, even though I think anyone could figure it out. It might not be worth your time if you are super beginner to editing and Photoshop and you're trying to grow your YouTube channel. You probably are going to be busy with other things. But if you want to play around with it and you have a little bit of experience with Photoshop and video editing, I think it is pretty achievable for the average person. Even for me, I'm no expert by any means, but I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I could probably figure out how to do most of this, especially with a little bit of trial and error. So I think it's a really good one to start with if you are looking to do something like this. All right, moving on. Our next one is from Ed over at Film Booth. So, you know, it's got to be good. I love his videos. He seriously makes some of the best videos out there. So had to include this one. This one is no exception. You should just go watch the video. But some things that make it great are how he uses actual experiences and he uses actual analytics. He shows, for example, the results of a video where he changed the title using AI to help inspire him. And he showed how the video then took off. Could the video have taken off on its own without the title change? Yes, sometimes that happens, but it probably was from the title change. There's no way to know for sure, but usually you can figure out based on how long the video has been published and if you think there's any other reason that the video took off. And I think he's a pretty legit, honest guy, so I don't think he would mislead his audience. I think that that's a pretty cool example. He also kind of shows the story of how he got from where he started to where he eventually ended up using the AI. Like, for example, in one of his instances, he's trying to summarize a book. And so he shows the trial and error of how ChatGPT won't summarize the entire book for him. So he asks ChatGPT to summarize one portion of the book. And I think that's really helpful because with AI, sometimes we get frustrated because we see these examples and these tutorials and it just seems so easy breezy. And then we try it and immediately there's trouble. Immediately it's like not working well. And then we think, what am I doing wrong? And you just kind of give up. And so I really appreciate that Ed left in that trial and error of how it really came about and how he didn't get it on the first try, but with some tweaking eventually got what he was aiming for. Like all his videos, I think he put a ton of work into this one, so just definitely go check it out. And it's super entertaining. All of his videos are so entertaining. Even if you don't learn anything new or end up using anything that he suggests, you won't be bored. All right, the next one is, oh, this one's funny. So the title is ChatGPT plus YouTube equals mind blown emoji. I love how it's like a formula which ends with an emoji. So this one is by TubeBuddy, and Judah Lee actually uses a trick in this one that I've been using myself and I love it. So I feel like the typical thing people do when they're trying to get a script or almost anything out of ChatGPT is they ask ChatGPT for it and then they decide to revise it, which is awesome. It's cool that at least in that example, you are making your own content out of what ChatGPT gave you. You're adding the human element. You're double checking it for accuracy. You're not just copy and pasting what ChatGPT gave you. Awesome. But I almost think a better way to do it is the opposite, where you give it your best shot. You make your own script. And yes, it might be a little more work this way, but I think you get a better result. Make your own script, your own words. It's already superhuman. And then you ask ChatGPT to review it and tweak it and let you know if there's anything that can be improved. And this is also a better way to learn. It's actually the best way to learn any skill is to give it a shot yourself and then get feedback and then adjust based on that feedback. It's like the fastest, most efficient way to learn anything. So if you're trying to actually be a better script writer instead of just having a robot do your job for you your whole life, it's a better option. And I think it gives you that extra human boost because a lot of people are doing this system where they ask ChatGPT to write them a script and then they tweak it and they try to add a human element. But I don't think that ends up being quite as human as if you write it first and then have ChatGPT just improve it a little bit. And then, of course, you can look it back over one more time. But I think that'll make you stand out from everybody else who is using ChatGPT to help them with their scripts as well. In this video, Judah Lee also gives some examples of how to use ChatGPT for editing. And this really caught my eye because Cody, one of our video editors, has been looking for ways to use ChatGPT for editing for a long time. And he hasn't had awesome success, especially in like the creative aspect of, tell me where to cut or where to add things. But there were some specific prompts given in this video. And so I sent them over to Cody and here's what happened. I'm going to have to look at my notes because he did all these inputs. So he said he first generated the script in Premiere and then exported it as a text file. And then he uploaded it to ChatGPT with the following prompt. I have an exported transcript from a video that I need to change the formatting on. I want to remove the timestamps from the document and remove any speakers, like unknown. Can you help me with that on the attached document? So then it gave him a cleanup text title because he doesn't have specific speakers added in. And so it just says unknown for each of the speakers in the transcript. So it took that out. He said he played back the video and updated any missed words or misspellings. So once he got the script cleaned up, he used the prompt from the TubeBuddy video. And then he got suggestions. And they were kind of cool. Like they would have some things like, put a magnifying glass here in this part where you talk about research to kind of show that aspect, the symbolism behind that. And I thought that was neat that it could kind of think outside the box. It could suggest things other than words you explicitly used. So, we were talking about a movie theater in the video that he used as a test. And it kind of did say show a movie theater with a trailer playing. So that's very one for one, right? It's saying we heard you talking about a movie theater, so show a movie theater on screen. But I thought it was cool that it could also think of things that weren't exactly stated, but kind of matched the sentiment. But a lot of the suggestions were just kind of vague and not super helpful. And I think it also gets a little repetitive creatively. So I don't know if it's an amazing trick, but it's something you could try, especially for a beginner. Cody's opinion was it's not a hard no if you're just starting out and you really need ideas on editing, but it's probably not going to get you super far. But I really appreciated that he tried that out for us because you see something like a prompt included in a video and of course the creator is going to talk it up really big and it wasn't a bad prompt at all, but it was nice that he tested it out so we could kind of see the full potential. So thank you, Cody. All right, moving on. Video number 5 is by Jenny Hoyos. She's a very big YouTuber and the title is, I made a YouTube channel using only AI and made $blank blank is the title. So it doesn't tell you how much she made. You have to watch the video for that and you kind of have to watch till the end. It's a good story. It's a pretty concise video and it's a fun watch. This one is, I don't think it's going to give you any ideas or anything that you are going to use, but it's a fun video. It's a fun watch and it has a good little story. And there's a reason I didn't add any other videos where people created a channel entirely from AI without trying to do any of the work themselves, because a lot of them are pretty scammy, I think, and misleading. And they're just going to give you unrealistic expectations. If you're trying to get rich quick overnight by making an AI channel and not doing any of the work yourself, good luck. But she kind of does a more realistic version of this because she shows you the actual results. And I won't spoil it, but it's a trustworthy video. I'll say that. I think it's legitimate. So give that a watch and be really wary of just starting a channel entirely from AI. Probably everybody that watches this channel or any of our other channels is already on board. I don't think our audience is really trying to do that. But if you are new here, that's just not going to work for so many reasons. I'm not going to get into it, but watch her video and watch some of these other videos. And I know it's getting cliche to say it at this point, but use ChatGPT as a tool. So I hope this just gives you some ideas for good quality videos to check out on YouTube because it's fun to get ideas. And so many people have done a lot of hard work and research using AI to grow their YouTube channels. And I don't want to just like negate all of that because there are bad ones, you know. There are some good videos out there, and this, of course, isn't an extensive list of all the good videos, but I'm hoping it'll help you at least get started and sift through a lot of the bad ones. That's all for today's episode of Creator Files. If you're enjoying this, please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. Be very appreciated. If you'd like to be on the podcast, we have the application form on creatorfiles.com, and let us know how you're growing your YouTube channel, and maybe we will have you on. Good luck, everybody, on your progress with your YouTube channels this year, and keep working hard. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.